The house is handled. The vibe is dead. You're treating intimacy like a task. That's how couples become roommates.
Most desire is context. When life is all logistics, the body stops seeing you as erotic.
When I initiate, she hears a demand. When she declines, I hear rejection. So we both retreat. Then we stop touching because it feels loaded.
Start with closeness with no finish line. Let trust come back into the room.
I'm done trying to earn sex with soap. Briana Bass is here with the real reset.
Briana Bass, what is going on, girl? Good to see you on the show this morning. What is shaking?
Hey there, how are you guys?
Good, how are you?
Oh, doing well.
What do you know today? Tell me something new today. It's our third show together. Tell me something new today.
Well, let's see. Personally, professionally, we talking about this?
Let's start on the personal side of things, kid. What's going on with you?
Oh, let's see. I bought between Austin, Texas and Dallas, Texas. So got in really, really late last night from Austin. I'm opening up a second office there.
Nice.
So yeah.
Well, that's fun. That's fun. Well, we're here to have a fun conversation today. I know Johnny's he's getting himself back in from the restroom. But I put a conversation on the table today, Briana, because a lot of men, a lot of women wake up after many, many years in what we call roommate syndrome. And then men are like, okay, I guess I got to do more shit around the house so I can have more sex with my wife, when in reality that actually doesn't work. Let's talk about roommate syndrome and how that affects relationships over the years. And I got a question from the community to throw at you as well. Let's start there, Briana. Roommate syndrome. Let's dig into it.
Yeah, roommate syndrome, we've all been there. I've been there. Everyone has been there at some point. It doesn't take long to get there either, right? So we can keep talking about the 30 years, the 40 years. It can be 1 year.
Yes.
No problem. Yeah. And I think it's this, there's a couple of things that come to mind when I think about this. So one, it's well-intentioned couples, right? Some of the other stuff we've talked about on the other shows, right? There might be malice. There might be patterns. You might have baggage from your past.
Yes.
This roommate thing can be the most beautiful, well-intentioned couple. And, life today is stressful. And we start talking about kids and schedules and logistics and how was your work day? And are you going to get that promotion that we've been talking about? Well, what did your boss say about this? This is what we got to do on Wednesday, on Thursday, this. And then, we're watching a show together as our reprieve, perhaps in silence, because we're watching the show, right? And we wake up a few months in and we've been doing this and our life has been reorganized around just function. And we're distracted when we are with each other, checking the phone, all of it. And the intimacy just dies. It just does in a space like this. Those flames are certainly not fanned. But yeah, I think an important note is that these are very well-intentioned couples. The good news is because of that, right? That, we can get things back. The other note I'd say on the roommate syndrome specifically is that it's a little bit invisible. So I think for men, they're probably going, hey, shit is taken care of. The house is not on fire. We're not at each other's throats. You might be a little bit tired, right? You're not really having sex as much anymore. Those kinds of signals are certainly alarm bells, but nothing is like really in crisis. So I feel like it's one of those things that we kick the can down the road until tomorrow. It's a little bit invisible.
Yes. Well, it's interesting because, yesterday was Groundhog Day, Briana, and you think about it, right? If every day becomes identical, maybe the brain stops expecting romance. Maybe the brain stops expecting, Briana to put something cute on before we sit on the couch to watch a TV show. You know what I mean? I'm like, just those things. And you said something which struck me and I never even thought about, which is we get into a routine pattern of comfort. If we're stressed, the moment we get to sit down on the couch with our wife, right? And then next thing you know, months go by and you're roommates, isn't it? That's exactly what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So ironically, then we come together as a team, as a unit to rest.
Yeah.
And that rest doesn't breed intimacy either. You would think that it would, but it doesn't.
Yes.
So the rest in of itself is even functional. We're trying to just recover so that we can Groundhog Day it again.
Yes. Johnny, you've been married for a long time. How have you and Terry avoided roommate syndrome?
Well, first off, hey, Brianna, how are you? Good to see you.
Hey.
That's a good question. I would say, a few different methodologies. Can't say that any one of them is always the go-to, but I think one of the things that we really lean on is that, man, we have a robust and a pretty exciting sex life. And that's something that, and it can actually, I can say it's almost backfired us on us in the past, because it'll turn into something that covers shit up rather than,
yes,
let's figure out what the fuck this is. And then that's even better, because then it becomes this, this kind of this Band-Aid thing. I mean, I suppose if you're going to have a Band-Aid, that's a pretty fun Band-Aid to have, but it doesn't really, what I gauge the most is like, it's the little interactions in the house, right? It's just like, do I feel like she's responding to me with a smile? Is she happy, or is she just kind of numbing up? If she's numbing up, or and don't get me wrong, sometimes she could be in a bad mood or who knows what. But if I get too much of that, I know that there's disconnect, and so then for me, I'm always going to try to talk. I'm a communicator. Hey, what's going on? Da, 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 da. And then a lot of times what I'll do is I'll try to say, well, hey, I'll ask her to do something that I know she wants to do, because then it shows that I'm basically showing interest in what she wants. Or when she starts to talk to me about something, happened yesterday. She started talking. I knew exactly what she was talking about, but I fired off a question inside the first 5 seconds, which told her I was listening. And so just the type of things that I kind of navigate with. And if all the stuff I just said doesn't seem to be working, then I'll just throw down and hope that that'll snap the situation back out. So one of these little things will start to work again. That's kind of my mess, if you will. Briana, please grade me. Tell me what I'm doing right and wrong.
Yeah.
I loved it. There's a line that I say a lot. I talked about it a lot on the last show, and I'm going to probably talk about it on every show, because it requires, like you're talking about, continual investment. These things atrophy, right? So they are muscles. So this isn't like a one and done situation. You can't even convince your partner that you feel this way and then let that stick for a few months. It doesn't work like that. But the line that I always go to, right, is that women do not get turned on by men wanting sex from them. They get turned on by men wanting them.
Yeah.
I talked about that so much last time. Yes. Right.
Yeah.
If you recall, last time our conversation was about sort of the obsession.
Yes.
And differentiating, because I think men are getting confused on, I am being obsessed with her. I'm going feral for her. I'm wanting to hook up. Let's do it like in the movies real quick, or whatever the case may be. And I was saying, whoa, hold on. You're going to get there anyway. So instead, I want you to shift focus and do it overtly, expressively, where she's aware of this language you're speaking, which is actually, she is the prize. She is the goal right now, not the actual sex itself, because that'll all come together anyways. So I'm not asking you to sacrifice anything. If anything, it's going to get a lot better. But yes, women get turned on by you wanting her, not sex. So what John was describing was, I'm listening to her. I'm asking her an engaging question that shows that I am present in this moment. I'm not on my phone. I'm not thinking about other things. I'm not interrupting. I'm showing genuine, real, authentic interest, because women can smell it if you're not showing up authentically. And that probably got some major kudos and points with her. And she's going, he wants me. He wants my mind in addition to my body. We're having sex also, but they're all interconnected and playing in with one another for sure. So yeah, he's putting some equity in the bank, some coins in the bank that prove to her, hey, you are not an object. When I want you, it's because I love all parts of you. And having a simple conversation in the kitchen, that can go that far. These things don't have to be expensive. They don't have to be exhausting. They don't have to be taxing.
But if so, let's go here though, Briana. So having sex and intimate relationships is clearly a value of John's and his wife's, right? So does going into a relationship knowing that those values are important, would you say as an expert, Briana, that helps prevent roommate syndrome from showing up? Because using John and Terry as an example, they're always putting that at the top of their values list because that's important to them from day one when they met. Would you say, Briana, that in your experience working with couples, maybe they didn't line up on that value on day one?
Well, there's a huge study that was done, right? That
Yes.
we've talked about, where the number one indicator
Yes.
of the, you know, active sex lives, things that would be
Yes.
considered healthy or whatever, which doesn't necessarily mean every day. For one couple, it could be once a month. It's whatever their sort of choice of measurement is, what they're comfortable with. But where I'm going with this is that they found it wasn't novelty, it wasn't, you know, excitement and whips and chains and third parties. It was just the ability to talk about it. So when I hear John talk, he comes with such a comfort. He I can guarantee you that him and his wife and are having these conversations, like you said, level set at the beginning, but they
Yes.
continue to. And it's in a way where this is now feeling very natural, not clunky, not awkward. How I talk about when we sometimes start to do this, it feels like the elephant in the room and we're just making it bigger and worse. And I'm saying, I see you couples. I see you couples where it feels worse before it gets better. I need you to go through that noise of talking about it. So more succinctly, yes, I do think out the gate, having conversations about what intimacy looks like for you. And if you're even comfortable, what it used to look like in your past relationships. And I'm not
Yes.
talking about body count, that body counts and partners. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, hey, I was in a relationship once where it was a sexless marriage, or, you know, this is,
Mm.
you know, what used to mean a lot to me. Or I had a past partner that made me feel objectified because they would do this. As you get closer with one another and can kind of share in the same way we would other things, right? We're talking about
Oh yeah.
finances,
Yeah. Yeah.
something
Yeah.
else in our past that sort of taught us a lesson, especially as we get older, we can bring that stuff into the conversation as well to help sort of set us up for like where to go from here. And it spawns other little conversations. But yeah, having that conversation out the gate about, this is what intimacy means to me. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. And then building on it as time goes. Absolutely imperative. Huge needle mover. Great thing to
Yeah.
do. So yeah, I
As I
agree.
listen to you talk, it's kind of dawning on me that it's like this, that it's almost like a puzzle or formula, because if one of the things that I mentioned is too off balance, then the connection doesn't rise. It'll stagnate or even go down. Like if sex is being used too much, those conversations will be even worse, right? And so it's like, if the conversations are if there's enough of a connection in the conversation, or doing something, enjoying time with something she wants to do, then it's easily shows up in the sex life. But if the sex life is, you, I guess, does that make sense? You can kind of spot, not to say that sex is the gauge, but you can definitely see or feel the difference if there the lack of connection, or sex starts to get used as a band-aid. It's there's not a lot of forward movement in the actual progression of, I guess, the topic going the opposite way of roommates. You know, you have all the sex in the damn world, and the roommate situation continue to get worse. And I've made the mistake of trying to do that in the past.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. Brian, we've got a question from the community here. Dominic Morales joins in and says, this safe word session is insightful. His words were, this safe word session is insightful. What happens if we'll talk about our wife, what happens if she has a hard time being vulnerable and open sometimes?
Yeah, that's fair. And a lot of women do, a lot of men do, right? And women are kind of not spoken about as much. We all know, oh, men struggle with vulnerability. You know, they're all into the stoicism thing and sort of misunderstanding that, whatever. But I love this question because it's true. Women, especially nowadays, right, are getting less and less vulnerable. We're taught to be more functional, to show up in spaces and look like we have it all put together. And that's what's rewarded and sexy and appreciated and valued. And we don't want to let anyone know that we're falling apart quietly. So I love this question. And I think if you're empowered with the information that she has a difficult time showing up with vulnerability, we want to make sure that anytime she does, even in micro small moments that seem kind of insignificant on the vulnerability scale, right? She's not telling you something super heavy, but maybe it's just that, you know, something bothered her at lunch, or, you know, something light. I want you to catch her in a way that makes her feel, wow, that was really cool. That was really solid, because her brain, her neurons are firing off with plasticity going, I'm going to retrain myself that this is a safe space to do that. So it was a tiny little comment about lunch today. Next time it's a little bit heavier, and it's a little bit heavier. So I need him to catch her in a way that shows her, hey, do this again, do this again, do it more, do it more. We're all classical conditioning. In a relationship, it's constantly responding to what our partner gives us and getting conditioned over time. We do that long enough, we start to form these pathways that are pretty solid. So if we get in some healthy habits, That is that foundation I talk about, where your neural pathways are going like, hey, when we're in conflict, this is how I show up, because my brain believes we can do so here. And if we get older, we show up in relationships, we've got pathways from our past partners, we got to sometimes untangle and recondition all that. So when she comes to him, I want him to say like, wow, God, that sounds so frustrating at lunch, versus problem solving, trying to diagnose it with her, asking her if she asked the waiter about this, or her girlfriend about this, or at work this. No, 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 no,
Yeah.
no, no. Catch her, catch
I
her.
want to be heard.
Yeah, I want to be heard and seen and understood. I know those are really buzzy words right now. The word safety, so buzzy. It's getting weaponized in relationships. This is not missed on me, but sorry, these are still great words when used correctly. Safety, being present, the catching her, right? Seeing her, seeing through the words that she's saying. Why would she be sharing this with me? Why does this matter to her? And if you don't have those answers, don't panic. Not a problem at all. That's why we just throw the ball back. We just ask, what was that like when that happened?
Well, and here's a question. So I will a lot of times revert where I'm not identifying what mode I'm supposed to be in. So I'll say, am I listening or am I solving?
Great,
Mhm.
great.
That's a good one. That'll work.
You like that, Brian?
Yeah,
don't you?
absolutely. Yeah, I do. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm glad you said that, John, because I don't want sometimes things that I discuss on here to sound too advanced, right? I always want to remind everyone that this stuff, some of this stuff can happen starting today in the next 10 minutes. It's often free. And like I said, not exhausting and taxing. So per John's point, right? I'm going like, you're probably going, crap, I heard Briana talk about this. Now I'm playing mental gymnastics as she talking. What am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to say? No, 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 no. Slow it down. Just ask a question. Throw the ball back. That means ask her a question. Okay, I'm not even sure what I'm supposed to say right now. So I'm just going to go with, do you want me to listen, or do we want to problem solve this together? Also, we can do both. I want to hear everything now, and then later we can go back to it and figure it out together. I want you to know that I'm in your court. I'm always in your court.
Keith,
Tell
John,
her that.
Keith, John, and Brianna hanging out. No safe words here on Mornings in the Lab with Keith, John, and friends. I'll tell you who's not playing chore play, Johnny. I got a 90-year-old taxi driver who rented a yacht, wore a fake gold chain, presented himself as ultra wealthy, impressed the woman. They spent 2 nights together, and then they got up the next day and she realized that he was not a wealthy billionaire. He was just some fraud, and it was a harmless joke. So I just kind of put this on here to have some fun because, you know, everybody has a story, and this dude's like, I'm going to get
they're equally guilty in my mind. Jesus Christ.
100%. Brianna, I got another question from the community. It came in over the week here. Brianna goes like this: how do I get over the 25 years of things that my wife has driven me nuts about, and get over it, so I want to have sex with her again? So essentially, I've been married for 1,000 years. My wife's been driving me nuts with these little things, yet she wants me to have sex with her.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's a multi-session conversation.
That's the question I got, so I'm throwing it out there.
I love the questions still. I mean, I'll take them all, bring them. But boy, that's layered. We'd have to start to unpack.
Dude, look in your own mirror, which might be part of the reason, actually.
Yeah. Also, you know, I know this is an unpopular thing to say, controversial, but sometimes we're not a match, and sometimes we find that out after 25 years, and that's cool too, right? We're always talking about making stuff work. Very important, but sometimes we need to realize when stuff isn't working, and we do need to get out and go start living our lives then in the way that we wish that we were. That's okay too, guys. Sometimes I meet with couples and the goal isn't to stay together. The goal is to figure it out.
My first gut reaction to that was how big could these little things really be?
Well, we all know it's not about the little things, right? We all know it's not about them.
Like he's just not letting real shit roll off his back. You know?
Yeah, that's because there's an iceberg there, right? So what he feels is how she chews her food or is disorganized or something. That's that tip of that iceberg that we can see peeking out of that ocean water. And then what we know is that underneath is all of this, right? It's all the times that he felt like his ego was dismantled by her. His identity was compromised, that their gender roles got crossed in a way he couldn't navigate.
That's like the fall guy. That's what he blames.
Yeah. So there's all this underneath that surface, but it's coming out as, I can't stand it when she chews like that. I can't stand it when XYZ, right?
Yes.
And being intimate with her, remember, because sex is the signal, not the problem. It is not the root cause. Other things collapse, other things fall, they take a hit, and then the sex shows up. That's how it presents, not the other way around. So, bad news answer. He would have to address this iceberg to then be able to go, man, I want her. Because remember, if you want to get her on board with you, you're not obsessed with the sex, you're obsessed with her. How are we going to have obsession with her with this heavy ass iceberg of 25 years of crap? And our rug that we look at it over in the corner of the room has a huge mountain under it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Dropping nuggets. Briana Bass with Keith Billis and John Anderson this morning on No Safe Words. I got my lovely bride in the comments here. Lauren, I'm loving you, baby. Hey, listen. Oh, childhood trauma can affect people after sex? Question from the comments.
Absolutely it can. Yeah, absolutely it can. If there's any association there, and it doesn't have to be so obvious, like let's say sexual assault. No, it can be just simply when you're really intimate with someone, when you unzip, figuratively, when you let someone in. Back to my speech about the brain conditioning, right? If we're conditioned to have a fear response, our nervous system kicks in. When we're vulnerable with somebody, we let them in. Oh no, now we're at threat of being wounded more. This is opening me up. So yeah, that makes sense that post-sex, we have some sort of automatic response. That's totally normal. And the solution to that would be some of the stuff we're talking about today. Telling your partner, discuss it with them.
Yeah. So wrapping up with Keith, John, and Briana here this morning. Hey, Briana, so this is your third appearance with us on the show, plus the guest appearance you had originally. So I feel like you're kind of like one of us now. So we like to tease and have fun with love. So I'm just curious, did you grow up with a BMX bike? Was this?
Oh my God.
You?
No, it's not. So sorry, it's not.
Might have been you on the BMX bike that we found there, because I know that Keith and Johnny had the BMX. We got to throw us on the screen with Briana here this morning, because us boys growing up, Briana, we all aspired for that.
If you're a boy and you see a chick riding a BMX bike, you are in love.
That's what I mean. That's why I was like,
you see that when you're out riding your bike and you see that, you're like, I'm following her wherever she goes.
Oh, that's exactly when I found
noted. I'm adding that to my, you know what? Fuck all this curriculum. It's that.
Johnny, Briana's since she's going to leave the show and go buy herself a BMX bike today. Is what she's going to do.
Oh, shit.
Oh, my God.